Do any of your video ideas come from your community, sort of like whether that be people in your Discord or whether it be people commenting? And the
Yeah,
second
definitely.
part to that is if they do, how do you decide what is actually something worth looking at and something that's just not being shilled by someone who's like, "Oh, have a look at this crypto coin I'm invested in," and actually because they want you to promote it.
Yeah, I often look for trends. So if I hear something around the same topic, this is
Yeah,
why I've covered quite a lot on real estate because the stock market was doing so poorly, and so a lot of people were trying to look for opportunities, and I have a complete mix of American and Europeans. And a lot of the American stuff I covered, it's a real pain in the ass for any European to invest in because of the SEC and all the KYC stuff. It's just really difficult. So most
yeah,
of them you can't invest if you're in Europe. So all of my European people were like messaging going, can you cover something in Europe? Can you cover? And I had that so many times. I'm like, okay, let's use that as the basis for my research to try and find something that's more catered towards Europe in this space. And
yeah.
then I use that as a start, and then I'll look around to try and find multiple different sources of different potential platforms, and then I start to break them down that way. So that tends to be. I rarely would cover something if someone said, like you said, like just look at this coin. I wouldn't necessarily unless there was some actual real thing that I thought, okay, this sounds quite interesting.
Mm,
I've covered random stuff like different back in when I first started. It's like apps that say they pay you to listen, like pay you in Bitcoin or whatever to listen to music or stuff like that. And I was like, all right, is this bullshit or not? And so you look at it and you go, yeah, pretty much. Like you learn earn nothing through this. And so it's just trying to test stuff so people don't waste their time on it really. So I'm happy
yeah,
to cover things like that and just go, yeah, it's not worth it. Or so I don't mind going down that route, and I'm happy to look at those sorts of things. But I'd never just shill a coin. Like that's not something that I'd cover, just because as much there are so many different variables in that, like outside of a standard like investment platform. Like there are so many variables because I've done stuff and projects in the crypto space, and you could be building the best thing in the world, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the coin's going to go up. Like it
no,
just doesn't. Like environmental factors, like it could dive and go 90% down tomorrow, but the people are
yeah,
still building the stuff. Like so, it has very little bearance on the actual coin's value or whatever it is
mm,
in what they're building. Long term, it might do, but in the short term, you just can never tell because of the market. And so, it's very difficult to be able to recommend anything with that level of
yeah,
variability to it. So I just think that it's easier to stay away from those. And but even on the platforms, it's very hard to know what environmental factors will feed into the success of those as well. So it's like trying to express that these are my views. I'm just trying this out, and but I don't know where it's going to go. And
yeah.
the same for my stuff as well. So, but it is difficult.